dynamically. And pay attention about the DHCP. You use this protocol, we can centrally manage the IP address. That's mean on the DHCP server, you can see all the DHCP pool and which IP address already assigned by which terminals. And about the client, I also send out some message to ask the server, please give me one IP address. If I don't use this IP address, I can give the IP address back to the server. Then the server can assign the IP address for another terminals. So this is the advantage of DHCP. And especially about this one. How to get an IP address, how to do the communication between server and the client. They also will encapsulate the message, and this message we call is DHCP message. The special one, they will use a UDP. And the special port number is 67 and 68. That's why I focus on this port number. Maybe in your network, you will do some policy like the ACL, access controller list. And in your list, if you deploy the firewall or maybe on the EG, you have to let the port 67 and 68 pass through. Otherwise, you cannot get the IP address successfully. So pay attention about this part. The second part, let's say the basic process, how to get the IP address. The process is, if you use the DHCP, you first have the DHCP client. All the terminals, if they want to get an IP address, this terminal we call is DHCP client. And who can assign IP address for us and how to manage the IP address centralized, this device we call it DHCP server. So in your real network, maybe your personal computer, or maybe your phone, or maybe all the network devices, they will become the client. Then how to get an IP address? Your EG router, maybe it's Ruijie, maybe it's Ruijie EG, will become the DHCP server. Of course, if you use some Ruijie enterprise device, maybe on the switch or maybe on the firewall, you also can become the DHCP server. But pay attention between the client and the server, how to get an IP address. I will send the message out to the server. Please give me the IP address. Then I will assign IP address to you. Pay attention, all the message belong to the broadcast message. So we need the client and the server within the same VLAN. So pay attention about this part. It's very important. They have to belong the same VLAN. If client within the VLAN 10, the server located on the VLAN 20, I cannot assign the IP address for you successfully. So in your network, if you find the client and the server will become in different network, one solution is you can add the VLAN DHCP relay. And about the DHCP relay means I will transfer the broadcast message to become unicast message and still to the correct DHCP server. Then we can get the correct information. So this is the key point of the DHCP relay. And how to make the configure the client. You have to choose, for example, your terminal to choose how to get the IP address, to choose the DHCP, it's enough. How to make the DHCP server, you have to add the configuration on your network device. How to make the network device to become DHCP relay, you also have to add the configuration. But if the client and the server are located in the same broadcast network, we can delete the relay device. So this is a basic components. And then let's say the process. First, the client will send out the discovery message. This is broadcast message. Can someone allocate me an IP address or not? This is a broadcast message, so pay attention about this one. If the server receive it, I will give a reply. DHCP offer, I can assign IP address for you about this one. You can use it. And then the client will send out the broadcast message. Okay, I will use it, right? all of them is a broadcast message. Then the DHCP will give the acknowledgement. Okay, you can use it, and I will write down and delete from my pool. If someone else also want to get an IP address, I will not give the 192.168.1.2 again, because this IP address already used for you. So this is a process. And the other action is the IP address rejection and the release. I will send out a special message, DHCP decline, and this IP address you provide already being used, and I refuse to use it. Maybe in the network, the other client already uses this IP address, and there is IP address conflict, right? So I will tell you this IP address I don't want to use. The other one is maybe my computer already power off, right? And I also will send out the release message to the server. I don't want to use the IP address again. You can give it to another guys. So these are two actions. And the other action is the IP address renewal. Up to 50%, I will send out the request message to the server. I still want to use. It's okay or not? Because later when we show the demo, you will see lots of parameters. If this message is lost, right, because your network maybe is not stable, up the time of 87.5%, I will send this message again to you. I would like to continue to use the message. It's okay or not? Then I will give a reply. You can use it, or maybe you cannot. So these are main process that we exchange with each other about this packet. And how to do the configuration. First, you have to enable the DHCP server. The second one, you have to create the pool. Because you have the pool, then lots of terminals can get an IP address from your pool. And then you have to give the range, which range can be assigned for your terminals. And then you have to give the gateway. Gateway is very important because your terminal want to do the communication between different IP segments. You need the gateway. And the next part, you also have to give the DNS server address, and then we can do the domain name and IP address together to do the translation. That's why you can directly to visit the google.com and to get some resources. Otherwise, you have to enter the IP address. And the last part, you have to set the list time. How long time if you don't give me the message to renew the IP address, I will take it IP address back and then to assign for the other guys. So these are basic of the DHCP and also the VLAN. So the next step, now we already know if you want to create the wild network, you have to add the configuration of the VLAN and also the DHCP. This is a basic two parameters, right? And later, if the personal computer get an IP address, then we can visit the internet. So how to do the configuration? How to configure the VLAN? How to configure the DHCP? You can finish on the cloud app. You can finish on the cloud website. You also can directly log in the Ruijie or Ruijie Enterprise device locally and do the configuration. So next step, we will use the Ruijie Cloud app, how to finish by the auto configuration to meet the requirement of the wild network, right? So if you already install and register the account of the Ruijie app, now please open and we can do the process together. And in this process, I will explain you about the parameters again, so you will understand the principle better, okay? If you have the phone, and please open the web app now, and we can do the process together. Okay, please wait. I will open my phone. I will stop share here. Okay. So now you can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see my phone screen? Okay. So maybe you can also open the Ruijie Cloud app and we can do together one by one. Okay. The voice also is okay for you. So this is the Ruijie app, and now this is update to you, the warning to you, we have new version. Maybe later you can update here. And about the cloud app, we also have special training course to explain something about the Ruijie Cloud app and the website. So each part was the function and what's the principle. Maybe you can join the other training. And here I only, today I only show you what's the auto configuration and what's the BYOD. And here you can click on the right, create a project here. And this project is very special, like the older one. We have the demo project because now I'm in the home. I don't have the real device. So I will show you the process with the demo project. And pay attention, the name is demo project, but later all the devices we operate is a real device. Because we already have lots of devices on the cloud. Then if you choose a demo project, you can directly manage the real devices to do some configuration. And everyone can use this demo project. There is no conflict. So pay attention about this one. And then you can directly to choose create directly. Okay, so now you will create the demo project. And pay attention, because when you create the project and now you also can use the app to do the management of the device. That means the device network connection between the app and the real device, the network connection is ready. And we also have to add some command on the real device. That's why we have to wait several seconds because we have to add some command on the real device. And pay attention, one account only can create 2 demo projects at the same time. And 6 hours later, the project will be deleted. You also can manually delete. Otherwise, maybe this one will be deleted after 6 hours. And then you can click OK, right? And later we will direct it to enter the different scenario. About the left one, you also can use lots of scenarios by the different use the device to finish different scenario. But today we only explain the office scenario, so you can click save. And about this office, you can find lots of functions we can use. The basic one, guide, network planning, VPN setting, user management, smart control, and also some application policy. On the application policy, you can control lots of apps. For example, within the working time, you cannot wait the YouTube, something like this, and some other function. And the first step we call is the auto configuration, right? Auto configuration is here, belong to the network planning. If you create the demo successfully, then you will find lots of devices here. We will have 1 EG, right? And 1 distribute switch and 4 access switch here, right? And by default, we will create the 233 as the management VLAN because all the devices have to communicate with each other. So they have to within the same VLAN. And this is a management. And later, now we need to add a new staff wired network, right? So you can click add. And here you can choose WLAN network or wired network. Because about your staff world, we only use the personal to connect with switch and then to wait the internet. So you choose a wired network is enough. No wireless requirement, right? And then to click OK. Then you have to add some parameters. And the main parameters in our network, one is VLAN and another one is DHCP, right? So first you have to add the name. For example, the name is staff world. Of course, you can use the other name, it doesn't matter. And then our planning VLAN is VLAN 10, right? And then you have to define your DHCP. Do you still remember what's the key point of the DHCP? You have to give the DHCP pool. And in the pool, all the terminals can get an IP address. And the second parameter is the DHCP pool. You will find if we use a VLAN 10 and then click IP range. Here the range will be automatically to become 192.168.10.1 to 192.168.10.254. So this is the connection between VLAN and DHCP. Of course, you can change the other IP range, it doesn't matter, but pay attention. Different VLAN, different terminal, different department, you have different DHCP pool. So to avoid the DHCP conflict, the IP conflict, you can directly to use this value, or maybe you can change it, doesn't matter. And now you use the VLAN about the wired network, right? You have to at least one cable to connect with the real switch. So you have to add the port. You have to add a port. Which port can be used about your network? For example, now we choose add. Because we have lots of switch in our network, 5 switch, right? And the first switch is distribute switch. You also can use a personal computer to directly connect with a distribute switch, it doesn't matter. The rest 4 is access switch. Now, for example, our planning is about the access switch 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 switch, and from the port 3 to port 8, they have to apply for our terminal, for our PC to use cable to with each other. So here you have to click the switch 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the first access switch. And then the second access switch, also 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And the third one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 3 switch. Dear, please mute your voice. And you will find now we have 3 switch, and select each switch, we will have select 6 ports and to connect with each other, right? And the last one, maybe we don't have the PC terminal to connect with this switch. So you don't choose it, it doesn't matter. And about our AP, we also can have some LAN interface to connect with our terminal. So if you don't use this one, you also no need to choose a port and then to click OK. If you finish here, you can click Save. Loading. Now we have to wait to synchronize the configuration from the cloud app to the real device. But you will find the speed is very fast, right? You don't need to wait 3 or 4 minutes. Maybe only 5 seconds is enough. So now it's okay. Now you will find about if we click the staff world, you will find now this VLAN belongs to VLAN 10, right? And this is a configuration. And what's the IP address? This is the IP address of the edge router. On the demo project, the edge router will become our DHCP server. And if you create this one, the IP address will be created on the edge router automatically. And then is a DHCP pool. If some terminal connect with special ports, for example, the first switch is a port 3, and this one will direct it to ask the DHCP discover message to our edge router. Please give me one IP address. And this is a default lease time. So this is a basic one. You will find it's very easy. You only have to create the VLAN 10 and to give the IP address. Then these parameters will be synchronized to the whole network device automatically. You don't need to care about which device I forget to create a VLAN 10, which device I forget to create the pool, which device I create the wrong gateway. You don't need to worry about this one, okay? And if you want to change something, you also can click here, config, to change the parameter. Okay, you can, for example, add more ports, or maybe you can direct it to delete which ports, something like this. So it's very easy, right? And now about this process, do you have any problem? Only about the wired network. It's easy for you? Do you have any problem? Very easy. Yes, it's very easy. And maybe someone say, why I don't have places to assign the access interface or maybe trunk interface, right? That's because when we click, for example, here, by default, all the Ruijie switch, we will make the interface type to become trunk and allow all the VLAN can pass through. This is a default configuration. And then if you add the port, right? And for example, to choose this switch and the port 3, if you click this one and then to save it, this interface will automatically to become change access interface. So you only, about your terminal, about your PC, you only need one cable to connect with the correct interface. That's all. And you no need to care about what is access type, what is trunk type, and what's the VLAN list. We don't need to care about this one. So it's very easy, right? Of course, someone maybe have confused. I don't need to create the access type or trunk type. Why I still have to need the principal? That's because later I also will show you how to do the troubleshooting in the process. Maybe in your network, there are other vendor device, or maybe you have some special Ruijie device but cannot management by the Ruijie cloud. In some special scenario, you also need the principal to do the troubleshooting. So about this process, if you don't have any question, maybe now I will have one question for you. Very easy, yes. If you now don't have the question, I will have one question for you. If a PC, now we already create according to the cloud app, but finally we found the PC still cannot get an IP address through the DHCP. What are the possible reasons? So please show me the answer. If you know it, you have to full reading the sentence, right? Not only according to the answer I show you. Might be on the port, is on trunk. Yes. So what's the answer here? Oh, right? Yes. Okay. So in this process, I will have a brief explanation for you, because maybe I hope in the future all your networks devices can management by Ruijie Cloud, because it's very easy. But in your real network, maybe you don't use the Ruijie Cloud to do the process at the beginning. So this also will be the process, and you will meet the problem and how to do the troubleshooting. If you cannot get an IP address through the DHCP, we can divide the whole process into 3 parts. One is your DHCP client configuration is ready or not, right? Because about your client, you have to choose a way to become DHCP. Then I will send out the DHCP message to ask the server give us the reply. So this is option A. The second one, who can assign IP address? This is a configuration of your DHCP server. So you also have to check your DHCP server, enable the DHCP server or not. Or maybe you configure the wrong parameters or not. So this is the first 2 parts, client and the server. If these 2 parts is ready, you have to check between the client and the server, there any problem or not. And between the client and the server, because all the message belong to the broadcast message. So you have to make them into the same VLAN. So this one, if there is no VLAN associated with the switch in the path of the PC to Ruijie, for example, we have 3 switches between the client and the server. You only create VLAN 10 on switch 1 and switch 2, but no switch 3. They cannot send out the message successfully. The last option is you already create the VLAN 10 on 3 switches, but you have to create the correct interface type. The interface connect with client should be accessed. The interface connect with your server also should be accessed. It doesn't matter, should be trunk. And between the switches, this type also should be trunk and allow the VLAN pass through. So these are 3 parts you can divide and check one by one. So the answer is very easy, A, B, C, and D, right? So this is the first part, and we only explain the demo with wired network. It's very easy for us to operation, right? And later we will do the next step. If we want to add the wireless or maybe some authentication, how to finish on the web cloud, and what's the key point we have to know when we do the app. Relax, we will continue the next part. The first one is the wired network. We explain the principle of the VLAN and the DHCP, right? And later we will do the next one about the wireless. We already finished the red part about the wired part. We create the VLAN 10 and to give a DHCP address. Now, if you have the cable to connect with the special port, then you can directly get an IP address and then to visit the internet. Of course, pay attention, please. In the real project, you have to let the device managed by the cloud at first, then you can do this operation, okay? Because I use a demo, so all the devices already managed by the Ruijie cloud, so I can directly do. And about the EG, also get the IP address from the ISP, and so we can directly through the EG to visit the internet if we get IP address successfully. But this is a basic function you also have to done before we do the auto configuration. So pay attention about this part. The next one, we have to finish the blue part. We have to create a 2 wireless network. And about this 2 wireless network, the first one, you have to define the SSID, right? And also this 2 wireless part belong to different VLAN, VLAN 20 and VLAN 30. And also provide some authentication to protect our network. But about the authentication part, we will explain in the third part. So the second one, we will talk something about the wireless. So about the wireless part, first we have to know the infrastructure. The typical WLAN type, the first is independent. That means all the stations will do the communication with each other. They have the same function, they have same relationship. So we can directly for example, transfer some files together between each other. So this is independent. But in our real network, the typical one is infrastructure. We will have special access point. This one we call is AP. If the station want to communicate with each other, the station will send the message to AP, and then the AP will help to forward the message to the other AP. So this is the infrastructure way. And if you want to let the AP to finish the function, we also have to add the command on the AP. And when we create the AP, some key point we have to know. The first one is SSID. And the SSID we call the basic is the basic service set, BSS. And BSS means, for example, one AP and lots of terminals, they in the same range and will use the same protocol to do the communication. And this protocol we call is AL2.11. And about the AL2.11, we also have lots of different protocols. And within the same BSS, if they connect with the AP, they can directly communicate with each other. And another one is when we create the WLAN, we also have to create the SSID. SSID identifies the BSS or maybe ESS. ESS is an extended service. Extended service like this topology. All the terminal and APs, they can be the same ESS. For example, we create the SSID, the name is Ruijie, but station 1, 2, and 3, they connect with different APs. One AP is one BSS. And different APs, the MAC address is different because MAC address is unique. So in this scenario, if you want to make some roaming, right, they have to in the same ESS. And this ESS is broken and also can be changed. We can use some commands to change the BSS ID name. But the BSS ID is different. It cannot be changed and is fixed by the MAC address. And the next part is about AL2.11 one. Okay, and about this part, the key point is why when we configure the wireless, we have to choose the special value of 2.4 or 5.8. That's because we use the wireless. The band belongs to these two parts. And these two parts can be used by the ISM, by the industrial, scientific, and by the medical. And the typical range we can use like the blue one. And the other range may be used by the other area. And the typical one is wireless network belong to the microwave. And in the same area, we have lots of the other products like the microwave, right? In our home, if you install the wireless device in some place is very close with your microwave, then you will find the signal is very less. That's because they have the same band. So pay attention about this one. And another is AL2.11 protocol. And we have lots of AL2.11 protocol. And this protocol defines the different encapsulation and different speed and different technology that will be used on the terminal and the AP. Between terminal and AP, we will use this special protocol to do the encapsulation. And we have lots of type, AL2.11, A, B, G, N, AC, and AX. And AC is Wi-Fi 5 and AX is Wi-Fi 6. So These are different protocols. And that's why when you buy the AP, you also will check one protocols. You, for example, they can support the AO2, the 11N or not, something like this. And now our AP can support higher speed and higher protocol version to support multiple access points, and also can support higher speed. And this one depends on the protocol. And why different protocol can get different speed? That's because we use different technologies to make more message can be transferred out at the same time. And here we have to focus some parameters. The first one is, if you choose this protocol, you have to know the protocol can support which band. We have two bands. One is 2.4 and another one for 5, right? And about the 5, we also have 5.1, 5.1, and 5.8. And the second one is the channel, right? And a different channel finally also will have the influence of the speed, because we can bonding some channel together to support higher speed. And the second parameters we have to know is the data transmission rate. And like the AO2 to 11AX, we can up to 10 gigabit. This is a speed. And the other one is the 2.4 gigabit channels. And one way to use the 2.4 gigabit channels, we have special channel usually will be used is the channel 1, channel 6, and the channel 11. Because about the other channels, they will have the overload places. That means maybe we have some influence by the other AP. So that's why when we do the optimization in our network, you also have to change the channel, and to change the places we have to connect with each other. The near AP, maybe one is using the channel 6 and another one will use the channel 11, something like this. And about 5.8G channel, and the channel number is bigger than 2.4G. That's why maybe in some scenarios, a customer more likes a 5.8G channel, because your more channels can be used. We can transfer more message in at the same time. And here are the typical channels we can use on the 5.8G channel. In the 6, 40, 44, 48. And also you can use some bonding technology to use, for example, 68 to 48 together. So some middle channel bandwidth also can be used. So these are the channel. And later, also according to the network planning, let's say the process, how to use a Ruijie app to finish the wireless configuration. And I also will explain some key parameters when we do the configuration together. And now you also can open your Ruijie app and let's do together. Later, I will open. Okay. For example, now about the network planning, we already create the staff word network, right? We create the port, the VLAN, and the DHCP. Later, we will create one VLAN for the staff wireless and one for guest wireless. And add, now you have to choose WLAN network. Okay. And also you have to give the name. This name also will be finally, when you use your Wi-Fi to search it, you will see the name. This is the SSID, also is a Wi-Fi name. Now is staff. Staff wireless. You also can use the other name, it doesn't matter. wireless. Okay, and here you will find we do the encryption or not. And this encryption, if you open, that means when you search it, you have to give the password. About the stuff, we don't give the password. This is an open network. And also we can directly to provide the captive portal authentication. And you can do some bandwidth of each user if someone connects with our network. And what's the VLAN? Now the VLAN is VLAN 20, right? After you give the VLAN 20, when we click the IP range, you will find the IP range will directly to become 192.168.2.0. You will find the IP segment is very is directly contact with the VLAN ID. So you only consider about the VLAN ID is enough. Then to click save. Now we are waiting the configuration synchronized to all the devices. You will find the delivery is succeed, right? And you can click OK. Now on your app, you will see the configuration of VLAN 20 and also the IP interface we create new on the each router and who is your DHCP and what's the IP pool and what's the used IP address, something like this. And about this topology, you also can see the VLAN 20. And click here, the last line, you can see the staff wireless. Click here. You can change some parameters directly. And in this process, you don't need to create VLAN on the access switch, on the AP, on the distribute switch, and then create the pool on the EG, something like this, and also change the interface type. It doesn't matter. It's no need because you only to create the name, create the VLAN, create the IP range. It's enough. We will synchronize to the whole network process at the same time. So you don't need to consider which one lost, something like this. So it's very easy for us. And another one, you also can continue to add a WLAN network. And pay attention, you can create some special SSID for wireless for guests, right? To give the special VLAN ID, to give the special IP range, and also add some encryption, something like this. But about the whole BYOD, we also have one service as a guest ID. One, you can directly to use a guest Wi-Fi on the BYOD solution. And another one is you also can define here by your requirement. For example, here we will create the guest. Guest maybe also wireless. Okay, about the guest wireless, we want to add the encryption. If you search the guest wireless, I lost. I have to share again. Oh, because now I have to enter password. This is a limitation of the zone. You can define by the other value. According to the warning. For example, password is Ruijie 123. Okay, this is a password. And another VLAN for VLAN 30. Give the wireless, it's okay. Loading. We have to wait to synchronize, right? Now we also do delivery succeed. So now about the basic network part, we already create 3 parts. The first one is staff width. and the 2 wireless network, one for staff wireless and another one for guest wireless, right? For guest and for staff, created successfully. So basic one, if you use a cable to connect with a physical port, we can get the IP address from the VLAN 10 and then to it to the internet. And about the guest and the staff wireless, you also can connect with SSID and get IP address from VLAN 20 and VLAN 30. And all of them now convey to the internet. So that's why we call this one belong to the basic network requirement. Because according to this basic, we convey all the resources, we convey to the internet. Then the other requirement will belong to the BYOD solution, because based on the network connection, we want to add some other requirement to control the traffic and also to protect our network. Or maybe the other one, like to establish the VPN, something like this. So about these 3 basic network, are you ready? If you finish, please write down 2 to let me know it. Finish, right? Only 2 guys. Okay, so now we finish this part and let's do the next step. It's very easy for us, because you don't need to configure one by one again. You only need to decide the parameters, it's enough. And which device should be synchronized, it's very easy for us to see. And the next part is about the authentication.